Hey guys, this is Bo. We're back in the Sports Lounge, man. We got one of the best 3 straight championships for the state of North Carolina. Appalachian State University's head football coach, Jerry Moore. How you doing, Coach?
Doing great. Thank you.
Hey, Coach, you started off last season with a big swing, and you finished with a big swing. I think there's a movie in the forecast. There's got to be one.
I doubt that. You got to have a good cast for that.
And now, with this coming up season, you put another top-ranked team. I'm wondering if ESPN's going to carry this as a classic, LSU. How did that all work out?
Well, I think ESPN was in the background. I don't know too much about that inner workings of it. Charlie Cobb, our AD, and Jay Sutton both asked me about how I felt about playing them. I said, that's fine. It's kind of like playing Michigan. I mean, it's a lot like playing Michigan. I mean, traditionally they're a great football program, and that's what we like to play people like that. We know the odds are against us to begin with, but it's great exposure for our program. It's a great, something to get our players motivated all summer, and it's great recognition for our school.
I mean, you could build this as a champion versus champion, except this time nobody is going to under question anything about your program. So that's going to be quite a matchup.
Well, to an extent, I don't know that Michigan underestimated us or under-questioned us. I mean, programs like that generally don't do that. I think we might have surprised them a little bit with our speed and stuff like that, but I don't, Coach Carr and those people, they're going to get prepared to play. We were probably just a little bit better football team maybe than maybe even we knew at that time. And, we played LSU in 2005 down there, and we played them pretty well, really.
Yep.
And so, that we know that there's no surprises. We didn't count on a surprise at Michigan. I tell them most of the time, hey, we're not trying to pull a rabbit out of the hat. We're trying to get better.
Absolutely. I remember last year, prior to getting the interview, back in January, when I finally saw the results, I took a beating from the media up here and friends and people on the internet because I picked you over Michigan just because of the reputation of your program, how you structure it. You go after the big dogs, and you're not afraid to pull punches and hit people right in the mouth. And that whole game was beautiful last year, watching it and hearing it on the radio and on the TV set. You did a great job with that game, and I think a lot of fans who weren't used to your program or seeing it on a national stage, especially in Michigan, I think you're going to have a lot of people tuning in that wouldn't normally tune in, especially since last year when you took out Michigan. I thought it was an overhyped team from an underhyped squad. I think the media should have pushed you more than they did because you have a A1 program as good as any program across the country, and this LSU game is going to be good.
Well, I hope so. It's a great incentive for us to work. It was, we've got it like most all schools. We've got an early morning running program. We run it at 6 o'clock, and the day that it became public, it was just like the tempo changed, picked it up a notch out there running even at 6 o'clock in the morning. And here we are 5-6 months away from playing. But those players know what's ahead for them.
Absolutely. I mean, you take out LSU or take on LSU, and you beat them or hold them, the whole world's going to be watching you guys again, and then that's going to set you up for the rest of the season in your own division again. And you had some hiccups last year, but you pulled through at the end of the season. What did you learn from the hiccups last year to help get you into that position for national championship?
Well, I think when you play good people, it brings out the very best in you. If you got any competitiveness at all, that competitive spirit, and then you learn. I mean, I told our players back during two-a-days before we ever got on the plane to go to Ann Arbor, there'll be guys that nobody even counts on at this time of the year that 10, 12, 14 games into the season, they'll make a difference in our football team. And that's the way we approach the early part of our season. And just like we start spring practice here today, there'll be some young guys that 15 practices from now or 14 practices from now, they're going to be better football players.
Now, with this season coming up to us, what are kind of some of the kids that you have from letters of signing that you're really looking forward to joining your season in the spring or summer that you signed?
Well, we signed some defensive linemen, defensive end players that we like. A running back from Charlotte we like because we lost Kevin Richardson. We got a couple of good guys that are already here that have been redshirted. But you like to look ahead really in recruiting, 2 years. And so it's not necessarily that we think they may come in and help us right now, but 2 years down the line. And some of them will. There'll be some surprises in there. There'll be some disappointments. And disappointments, I mean, just from maturity level and ready to play at this level.
And at this level, a lot of us who follow football, Division II and higher, we notice one trend is that you can gamble on a kid a little bit in Division I AA, where in Division I, you do not have the luxury of gambling on anybody. Who is that one person that you've gambled on that came through this past season that you weren't sure about, but they definitely proved themselves at the end of the season?
Oh, I don't think there's any question on our football team. DJ Smith, the linebacker.
Yep.
He didn't play much against Shaw. He played some, but as a year, he's probably the best young linebacker probably in 1AA for football right now. He's a freshman. He had a phenomenal run in the playoffs. I mean, and the tough thing was he played behind a kid named Cam Spear, who was one of our captains. And this same thing happened 2 years ago with our Monty and Trey Elder. Everybody expected Trey to be the quarterback. Monty comes on and has a great season. Has been a great player for us. Well, Cam was one of our captains. DJ comes on, just has a terrific year, and Cam has a backup role. Well, even in his backup role, he probably became one of the best captains we've ever had here. He realized the talent was different, and he became a terrific special teams player for us. But DJ Smith, without a doubt, is the young player here.
Wonderful, Coach. Now, the one thing about your coaching style, you have three championships back to back to back. Do you approach this season any different than you have other seasons, or do your students or your athletes have a different attitude going into this season, or you're just setting up for LSU?
No, we're trying to get ready for the season. I mean, that's just like the Michigan game last year. It was great. I mean, we'll remember that the rest of our life.
Yep.
But the thing that they'll also that hey, on the top of their rings, they've got 3 trophies.
Yep.
They're not. There's mention on our rings of Michigan on the side of a ring. And there's a great place. There's a great spot in history, in our history, for Michigan. But to won 3 national championships at our level in a row is a real accomplishment. And we're just preparing for getting ready to play the Southern Conference as we start in the spring practice. We're trying to get the right players in the right spots.
And that's the whole trick of it in early season and preseason, warming up and getting ready for that game is really loading your athletes into the right role models. Lou Pauly is a mixed martial art guy I mentioned to you off air from UNC Pembroke. He's now fighting in the IFL. He's a huge fan of every team in Carolina, and he knew that it was coming on, and he just wanted to say, go get him, Coach. That's from Lou Pauly from the mixed martial arts show IFL. He's behind you guys a whole heck, and there's a lot of emails, a lot of voicemails from listeners that just love what you're doing for North Carolina. You're making them proud, Coach.
Well, it's been great. I tell you, we got a lot of really good emails and notoriety from people in Michigan. I mean, it's unbelievable. I mean, they're just great fans. That's the reason we wanted to go up there. I mean, it's one of those traditional great places, and the same things happen, like you said, within our state here.
Now, Coach, with the past season ahead of us, you've got LSU, which is the big squad. Which is the team in the conference, Southeast Conference, that you're playing now that has really drastically improved their chances for your conference right now that you see sort of on the horizon that you need to pay attention to?
Well, traditionally, Furman and Georgia Southern and Wofford are teams that you got to contend with. Elon has come on of late. The Citadels, a terrific football team. And then they had a coaching change at Western Carolina, and everything I hear about the way they're doing this spring,